Welcome to this episode of Mailbag Monday, where Chris and I are answering all of your questions about data, marketing, analytics, artificial intelligence, whatever. This week, Beth asks, what would be the best way to extract the data from Universal Analytics in order to have it after Google Analytics 4 takes place? I feel like this is a fairly common question right now, Chris.
It's definitely a very common question, and there's different answers depending on your budget, your skill level, and your technical team. The first easiest way to do it with the minimum amount of pain, there are actually paid services. There are companies that will do that for anywhere from $100 to $1,000, depending on how much data you have. Like, for example, porting my blog with 17 years of data would be the maximum price. But that is probably the easiest, but maybe not the best solution.
See, I'm surprised you didn't start with defining your requirements, because the first question I would ask is, do you need 17 years worth of data? Do you need all of that data? And so before even getting into the how of it, the process, I would start to take a look at the purpose. So I would, unsurprisingly, bring up the 5 Ps. And so by porting over 17 years worth of data, what is the question you're trying to answer? And so, I would be looking at, or I would be asking you rather, of this data, what do you look at? How much of it is actually important? And, is it more efficient? Is it faster? Is it less expensive to just bring over some of the data, only the data that you look at? Or, have you captured enough data in Google Analytics 4 that you actually don't need the Universal Analytics data? Is it just, a comfort thing? Is it a safety net? But do you really need it? So that would be where I would start.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a digital pack rat, so yes, I need it all. I have no idea what I'm going to do with any of it, but I'm going to keep every scrap of it just because.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I buy new hard drives every 3 years because the amount of data I keep just carrying over from year to year keeps getting bigger. I'm not necessarily going to do anything with it, but I have it in case I need it. So if you operate on the the assumptions that there's specific data you do need, then yes, you can do that. And then that changes how you're going to approach things. If you use a paid service, you're getting all of it, right? Because they're not going to do it piecemeal. They're just going to give you the whole thing. Likewise, if you use, there's open source software like Matomo that you can set up on a server that you own and install the Google Analytics importer, and it too will vacuum up all of the data that is available and make it available to you. So that's a second option. That's a more technical option, but it's also in some ways an easier option for some people, because with the backup, you just get a database file, right? And then you have to know what to do with this thing. With a thing like Matomo, you get a Matomo instance. It's like a Google Analytics instance where you can then go back and explore your old data and be like me and just like, oh, what was I doing in April of 2012? I'm like, oh, okay. That would be the second option. And then the third option, which really goes to what you're saying, Katie, is selecting the data that you want, that you know you will need, and then using the API to extract that data and then store it offline, store it somewhere else.
I think about our data, and I know that there's data points that Universal Analytics collects for us, and we've been collecting it for 5 years, that we've never looked at. And so that's where you really have to make those decisions of, well, I haven't looked at it in 5 years. Am I going to start looking at it now? And of course, to your point, Chris, I mean, for those that are, the digital pack rats, there's that, well, I might, and I think I might need it. It's the same thing with cleaning out your closet. Like, I haven't worn that dress. I don't wear dresses anymore in 10 years. Why am I still holding on to it? Well, there might be a reason. Like, nope, you got to let it go. So I would say I am well suited to help people clean out their closets and throw things away, because that's one of my favorite things to do. And so I'd say definitely audit your metrics and see, do you absolutely need? You can bucket them into must have, nice to have, and don't need. And that might be an easier way to start to organize it. And then choosing an option like Matomo sounds like it might be the most user-friendly way to go.
Exactly, especially if you need access to the old data. One other thing to consider, of course, which goes in parts of the 5Ps, particularly on process, is if you are operating a regulated industry, you may have regulatory requirements say, yeah, you have to keep that data whether or not you want it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's if you haven't figured that piece out yet, now is a great time to do it because we are, as of this recording, just about 60 days out of Google Analytics 4 becoming the platform of record for Google. So data collection in Universal Analytics will stop in roughly about 60 days. So if you don't know if you need to keep the data, now's probably a good time to find that out.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So yeah, those would be to answer Beth's question, there is no best way. There's a best way for your specific needs.
I think that's true of a lot of things. The best practices is always dependent on your particular situation.
Exactly. So, Beth, that's the answer to your question. If you've got a question that you want us to answer, go to trustinsights.ai/contact. You can ask the question right on our contact form, or pop into our free Slack group. Go to trustinsights.ai/analytics for marketers, where you and over 3,000 other marketers are asking and answering each other's questions every single day. And if you want to get caught up on past questions, you can always catch the week's recap in our weekly newsletter. Go to trustinsights.ai/newsletter, and you'll be able to catch up on all the content that we've created in the past week. And if you're a digital pack rat like me, you'll save those issues and you'll have the entire year's worth of content. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.